Responded to LaVar Ball saying, quote, "Keep my kid's name out of your mouth. Keep my family out of your mouth."
Yeah, he hit a nerve there, that's for sure. We're joined by First Take's Will Kane. Is LeBron being too sensitive? Has LaVar Ball overstepped his bounds? What do you see in this little...
No and yes. LeBron is not being too sensitive. I mean, look, I believe in confrontation. I believe in looking people in the eye and telling them where you think they're wrong. I don't think it's a sign of disrespect. I actually think the opposite. It's a sign of respect to honestly tell someone where they're wrong. But, man, you don't bring someone's kids in as evidence. You don't talk about my kids. I get LeBron 100% on this. Now, also, has LaVar overstepped? Not just, like, manners-wise, David, but, like, intelligence-wise. This is incredibly dumb. This, by the way, he indicted LeBron's parenting there. LeBron doesn't spend as much time with his kids.
Right, yeah, that comes through loud and clear.
And then the idea that somehow you're better off, and I just did my final take on First Take on this, but the idea that somehow you're better off if your dad is and never was versus if your dad is a superstar is so incredibly dumb. It's the kind of thing where you have like a momentary thought, you're like, oh, that sounds really smart, until you give it about, 60 seconds more of analysis. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, Cecil Fielder, Prince Fielder, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Mannings. We can keep going and going and going. Guys that managed to live up to their father's pressure.
But isn't there a vein of that is a little bit true in the fact that he's obviously devoted his life to his kids and his basketball playing kids, whereas somebody who's a full-time professional athlete, they do have to be a little bit selfish to keep themselves in whatever shape, to keep themselves in the mental state to be that guy.
You want to go to some bars right out here outside of Bristol? They're full of guys whose dads poured everything into them on the athletic field, whose dads put all their expectations and time into making sure they were superstar athletes. Doing that does not necessarily make you a good father. LaVar Ball might be a great father, and spending time with your kids is great. But, you know, Marinovicing them, for anybody who remembers Todd Marinovich some 20, 30 years ago, isn't necessarily the sign of a good father. I don't think that this somehow puts him on a better field or puts his kids on a better field than LeBron's kids. I mean, by the way, if you don't, I said this today on First Take, so sometimes you get repetitive, but if you don't think my analysis is right, use LaVar's. He said that comparing yourself to your dad is too much pressure, and that those expectations can somehow be disabling. He also has compared Lonzo to the two-time reigning MVP. He has said Lonzo is better than Steph Curry right now. So, yeah, pressure. He really believes in not putting too much pressure and expectations on your kid.
Does anyone know what LaVar Ball's profession is? Does he have a job? I mean, is there anything he does? I don't know. I've never seen that addressed in any of the stories we do on him. Obviously, they have a home. We've seen them playing in the driveway, but I don't know what his profession might be. So
2.2 points per game. That's what I know.
2.2. He had a little taste with the Monarchs in the World League of American Football. Yes.
I am hard on him, and I think he deserves it. But look, I do want to say this: LaVar could be a great dad. I'm not in that house. He could be a great dad for Lonzo and LiAngelo, all of his boys, and he could be helping them. But everything he's giving us doesn't suggest that's what he's doing. What he suggests that he's doing is hyping not just his kids, but himself. When you say you're better than Michael Jordan, or you could beat him one-on-one, this is about you, not the kids. And that's the problem here. It all looks like it's about LaVar.
Jeff Gooden was just saying that last hour. LaVar needs to just sort of back away from the microphone. This is your kid Lonzo's time to shine. He's in the Sweet 16 with a very good basketball team right now. As far as Lonzo is concerned, is his dad doing him a disservice? I mean, we all already know that LeBron's a little unhappy with LaVar. Will that be taken out on Lonzo as a rookie in the NBA?
I can't say for sure because I haven't been in the NBA and I haven't been in the locker room, but I can tell you this. So far, what is it, in the past 4 weeks, he has insulted the greatest player of all time in Michael Jordan, the two-time reigning MVP in Steph Curry, a top 50 basketball player of all time in Charles Barkley. I'm missing one. Who else has he insulted? He's insulted the Mount Rushmore of basketball.
Magic Johnson apparently has made the list as well.
Has Magic made the list, too?
I guess so, yep.
So imagine the locker room that Lonzo Ball walks into, having insulted not just former players, but current players in the NBA. That's the locker room that Lonzo walks into. And maybe they all get over it. Maybe they can accept Lonzo as an individual and on his own terms. But, by the way, I think he's hurting his draft stock. I mean, eventually, he recently said that his two younger sons' high school coach are the reason they didn't win a state championship in California. So now you got a guy who not only hypes his sons, but interferes with the coaching. So is Luke Walton excited to deal with LaVar Ball? Is Steve Alford ready to go to Indiana from UCLA? LeVar Ball is now a factor in the calculations of Lonzo Ball, and not a positive one.
I do want to say LeBron did have nice things to say about Lonzo. Says he really likes him as a player. Seems like a good kid. He did have some issues with his dad, though, however. Will Cain joining us today on Coast to Coast, giving us his insight into the whole LeVar-LeBron tete-a-tete.